So in the last video, I was talking about how fear is a key to becoming more free internally and having a more interesting life. Today it's about the practical side of things. So how do you deal with fear? Well, I would like to share what I do, and I have been through a lot of different techniques through the years, trying out different techniques from NLP, or different coaches, or different self-developing books, but I didn't really find them that efficient. So today I will share with you how I do it, how I confront some of my fears. And one of my fears is to go over and talk with somebody I find interesting. It's not so much a fear anymore, but it was a very, very big fear. And the way I was dealing with it, or the way I deal with fear in general today, is that instead of, trying to manipulate or resist the feeling of what I'm feeling, of the fear, instead I am trying to feel it more deeply. I am becoming very still. So let's say I see somebody I want to talk to. So now a normal way of doing this would be to resist it and just, trying to control that I feel fear and then do it anyway, or somehow, think about something else. Well, this doesn't really work for me because my fear tends to grow more and I feel even more fear. But instead, if I feel it and explore it internally, not by thinking about it, but more like meditation, where you just observe it without judgment. Where is it? You don't think where is it, you just observe it. If you're still with it, it starts vanishing. And it is a very, very simple, you can say, technique, but it is very, very difficult to master. But if you're doing this a lot, you can even become so good at it that you are in a situation, let's say you're talking with somebody, and you have a problem with holding eye contact, or you have a problem with, taking big pauses when you're speaking, because you're talking with them and you tend to talk instantly when they finish talking. You feel a lot of pressure, so you're doing this. Now, while you are talking with them, when you become very, very good at this, you could basically use this while you're having the pause, while they are talking, while you're talking. You basically breathe and observe your internal state and the fear and all the emotions. And you don't try to resist them, but instead you feel them fully. But this takes a lot of practice to be able to be so vulnerable. And another thing is also, you should not try to, this sounds very difficult, but you should not try to control how you look externally. So if you are sad, you should be courageous enough to look sad. I was out with my friend today, Kate, and she was very afraid of going over and talking with a guy. And we were making an experience, trying out this technique on her, because I never tried it out on other people so much. And she was sitting and she was terrified by going over to this guy. And we're sitting there for a whole hour before she finally went over to a guy who was sitting in an area where there was, it's like an eating area, a lot of people around. And not only she went over to him, she talked with him for like 20 minutes. While there was a lot of people around, and she really was afraid of this. So the way she was doing it, you were basically sitting with me, and she was trying to, you know, go over talk. She wanted to go over out of the chair and go over and talk with him, but she felt so much fear. So now she was sitting in her chair, feeling this, exploring it, and then she felt better, but she couldn't still do it. But then I told her, okay, try to go over a meter away from him. Like, go close to him like a meter, like go up like you were going to over to him, and then stop 1 meter before, or 2 meters before. She stopped 2 meters before. And just stand there. So she went over, and she stopped 2 meters before, and then she was looking around, pretending she was looking at something else. Now she was resisting. But while she was going there, she was not really resisting it that much. She was still feeling it. But then she went there, and because she felt a bit awkward, she started resisting it. But what would have happened if she didn't resist it? She could have gone over, like slowly walked over, feeling it, feeling the fear, walking, feeling, then stopping in a distance she felt not too intimidated by, and resolve that. And now she had a shorter distance. She could be basically maybe have done it in the first try, but she didn't do it. So she sat down again, then a little bit more time went, and the guy left and a new guy came. So she tried again, and finally she went over and talked with him. And I did also something I feared a lot, because I promised her if she would do that, I would do something else. And when she came later, she was so happy. She was so happy she did this. So I pushed her a little bit to this thing. So it's a bit cheating, because she had me to motivate her and push her, definitely. But for me, this works so well. And even if I don't do something, let's say I want to do something that I fear, and I end up not doing it because it's just too much for me in this situation, by feeling that emotion, by feeling the fear, by connecting with it, by connecting with what I feel internally, I practice it. So I am better in doing that in the future. And I wanted to say another thing is that you can do this also proactively. So let's say you want to have a speech in front of a lot of people. Well, you could, imagine having this speech, and even imagine things going very wrong. You're sitting at home, the speech is in 1 week, you try to put yourself in the situation as much as possible, as detailed as possible, feeling the fear and connecting with it. And you do this every day or several times a day for a whole week. It will really help you a lot. But of course you should maybe try it out on that thing in the beginning. You should practice this thing all the time. There was one more thing I wanted to say. I just now don't remember now. What was it? I wanted to say, this is not especially easy, feeling something deeply, being intimate with it. It's very difficult. It requires a lot of, like being able to listen and calming your mind down. So I think a key thing is if you are able to meditate, every day, then it's much easier for you to be able to do this technique. So while you meditate, you can feel your breath. Maybe you can notice that you have tension in different places. Maybe you can feel each finger, each toe, feel different sensations in your body. And now when you go out and you use this, this tool, now it's much easier to feel it fully and explore it Where is it coming from? Without judgment, without labeling. Even this thought, where is it coming from? You don't need it. You just observe it without any words. So I hope this was helpful. I hope I explained it well enough. And maybe I should wrap it up again. So like, you have some problem. Let's say you want to order coffee and now you want to be louder. You want to talk louder. So just before you order coffee, you stand there. You imagine yourself talking loud. You can even imagine something going wrong. And you feel it. You trick yourself to feel even more the fear. You feel it, and you stand and you're still with it as long as it takes until some of it vanishes. And even the whole thing can vanish if you stay there long enough. And then you go over and you order your coffee and you're very loud. Wah, 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 wah. Can I please have a double something? If you want to talk with somebody, again, you stand, you feel as much as you can the fear, and then you can start walking. And when you're walking, still feel it. Feel it in each step. Connect with it. Take as much time as you want. Even not doing something will teach you something. You will still learn to listen to yourself, and you will still strengthen yourself internally, even without doing the action. So that is it. Again, I hope you understand this well, and if you have any questions, I will try to answer them. Bye bye.